For today's fractions lesson, we're going to talk about the numerator and the denominator, so where you write the different parts of a fraction. But before we do that, this is a little review from yesterday. So pause the video and write the fraction for all the different parts. So how many pieces are shaded in out of the total. I'm going to give you, pause it and then do it yourself, and then I'll do it in a second, okay? So this first fraction has one part shaded out of 1, 2, 3. So 1/3 is shaded. The second fraction has 2 parts shaded out of 1, 2, 3, 4. The third one has 1, 2, 3, 4 parts shaded out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the final one has 1, 2, 3 parts shaded out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 out of 7. So we remember talking about yesterday that fractions are part of the whole, or part of the total. So one part of the total, 3 parts is colored in. So now we're going to learn about the names of the top part of the fraction and the bottom part of the fraction. So the first word is numerator. A numerator tells how many parts are being counted. So one part out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is colored in. We're counting this one piece of the total 6. So the numerator is the top number. Tells us how many of the total. So on this fraction strip, this one that we did earlier, the 1 is a numerator, the 2 is a numerator, the 4 is a numerator, and the 3 is a numerator. Let me get my pink marker because I was coloring in the numerators of different things for today's lesson in pink, to help remember which was the numerator and which was the denominator. So, numerator is this number, this number, this number, and this number. So the 1, 2, 4, and 6. Then, the other number, the total number, is the denominator. So the denominator tells how many equal parts are in the whole or group. So this triangle has 2 equal parts. So 2 is the denominator of this shape. So then for these ones, the denominator of the first one is 3, because this square is cut into 3 strips, 3 different parts. This numerator is 4, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of the square. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because there's 6 pieces of that square, and this final one is split into 7 pieces, so the denominator is 7. So the bottom number, the denominator, tells us how many total pieces there are. So if you saw a fraction and it did not have the numerator or didn't have a picture drawn, like these ones all have pictures, you can use the 2 parts, the numerator and the denominator, to figure out the total fraction. So right here, I have my blank fraction, and I have the names denominator, numerator, denominator. An easy way to remember which one's on top and which one's on bottom is ND, stands for Notre Dame, which is the college and a football team. So you don't call it Dame Notre, right? It's Notre Dame. So the N needs to be on top for Notre Dame. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you the different ways we can use fractions to figure things out. So the first thing that we can do, which is what we did yesterday, I'm going to slide this up and get it back out in a minute, is parts of a whole. So I have a shape, a whole circle that's split into parts, right? I have a whole square split into parts. The fraction tells us how many parts are colored in. So for our numerator and denominator, I have how many parts colored in? 2 parts out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 parts out of the 6 whole parts. So that is what parts of a whole is. The pieces that are colored in out of the whole thing. So that would be this fraction for the numerator and the denominator. Another way that you can use fractions is on a number line. So this shows the same fraction. I have 0 and number 1 are whole numbers, so they are complete. A whole 1 would be the whole circle. So this is a whole circle, so without the pieces separated. So on this number line, there's smaller pieces of the whole split up. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different chunks of the number 1. So if I don't have a full number, I can have parts of it. So on this line, the amount of parts that I have colored in is 1 part, 2 parts. So 2 parts out of 6. It's kind of dark, but this line says 2/6. So 2/6, so this much of the whole thing is colored in. So there'll be another day, I think next week, when we do a whole day on how to read number line fractions. But I'm just showing you all the different ways to write the fraction. So it's still written the same way, even though it's a number line. We have 2 pieces, 2 parts of the whole 1, so 2 parts, and there's 6 total chunks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a 1 here, but remember I said the other day, yesterday, that we can also write a whole 6, like a whole number 1, as all the parts. So this 1 could also be 6 out of 6. So on this line I have 2/6. So that's the second way we can use fractions. Another way is a strip diagram. So I have a strip of rectangles, kind of like an array. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. And I have 2 boxes that are colored in. So 2 boxes out of the total 6 are colored in, which means that the numerator, the number colored in of this, would be 2. And the denominator, the total number of boxes, is 6. So 2 out of 6, 2/6. And then the final one that we're talking about today is parts of a group. So on this page, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons. Of my buttons, I have 2 that are yellow and 1, 2, 3, 4 that are red. So 2 buttons out of the whole number. So I'm not just counting 2 and then 1, 2, 3, 4 for the bottom. Because remember, this denominator on this page, the definition says how many equal parts are in the whole or group. So I need to count the whole thing. So I have 2 yellow buttons out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons. So 2/6 are colored in yellow. Okay? Those are all of the parts and all the different ways that we're going to talk about how to use a numerator and a denominator for today. Now, we're going to move on to the notebook pages. So you need to get your math notebook out, and you should have had a page that had all these pieces on it. So it had a story, a word problem at the top, a numerator and denominator box, and the definitions. So I need you to glue that in to a new page in your notebook, and then we're going to read the word problem and fill out the numerator and the denominator for the word problem. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to pause the video and glue this all in, and then play the video again. All right, let's read the word problem. George had a cookie. He divided it into 8 equal parts. He ate all but 3 parts of the cookie. Name the fraction of parts that George ate. So in my word problem, I'm going to highlight the denominator tells how many parts are being counted. So right here, it says he divided it into 8 equal parts. So he has 8 total parts. So the denominator is going to be 8 equal parts. Then it says he ate all but 3 parts of the cookie. So there's 3 parts left. So it's going to be a little confusing because we're trying to figure out the fraction of the parts that George ate. But in order to figure that out, we need to figure out how many are left. So really the numerator isn't going to be the 3 parts, it's going to be a different number. But that's what we need to use to find the numerator. Now, I'm going to draw the cookie. So I'm just going to draw a circle. And it's not going to be perfect because it's hard to draw a perfect circle. And then I'm going to slide this up and you won't see the word problem anymore, but I want you to be able to see this. I'm going to split it into the 8 equal parts that he cut his cookie into. So the easiest way to split it in is to draw a straight line down and a straight line across, like a plus sign. Then make a multiplication sign or an X. And now, if you count them, you should have 8 different pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 total parts. Then it said he had 3 parts left. So we need to get rid of everything, color everything in except for 3 pieces that he still has. So we're coloring in all the pieces he ate. So he ate 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4, 5. Those are the pieces he ate, and I have 1, 2, 3 left that he didn't eat. Now, pause the video and make sure that yours looks like this before you keep going. Okay, now we're ready to fill out our fraction. So the numerator is how many equal parts are in the whole or group. So these are wrong. Hold on. They have the wrong definitions with the wrong things. So you need to fix that. Let me see if I can, okay, it came off pretty easily. So, because I was going to say the numerator is how many parts we're counting. Let me find my scissors. Okay. So you need to flip-flop these. The denominator tells how many equal parts are in the whole. So those two go together, and these two go together. So you'll have to fix that if you already glued it in. I'm sorry I didn't catch that earlier. Here's my glue. So let's fix that real quick, and then we will write them over here. Okay, there we go, that's better. So the numerator tells how many parts are being counted. So how many parts did we color in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we colored in 5 parts. And then the denominator tells how many equal parts are in the whole or group. So then the denominator is the total number of slices he cut the cookie into. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5/8. So underneath the word problem, I'm going to answer the question with a sentence that says, George ate 5/8 of a cookie. Okay? Pause that if you need to write that down. And then I'm going to show you how to do the last activity of your math day. Let me hold this up a little bit so you can see the whole page. And pause it if you need to. I'll also put it in the work document so you can check it on there too. Sorry, folks. All right. Then the last thing you're doing today is playing Flip a Fraction. So in your work folder or your work thing today, you should have had a page of different numerators and denominators to cut up. So you need to cut all the denominators out, cut all the numerators out, and then you need this answer sheet. So put your name up at the top. Then you need to make a pile of numerators and a pile of denominators. You want to mix them up. And flip them over so they're upside down. And then I'm going to mix up the numerators that I cut out and make a pile of those. Then I'm going to flip over a numerator. Can you see it? Let me move it over. And I'm going to flip over a denominator. So my fraction is 0/8. Now over here on this sheet, I need to find one of these rectangles that's split into 8 pieces. So I think that one. So C and G are both. So I'm going to do C first. And I need to color in the numerator. So how many pieces, how many parts of the whole do I have? This one is kind of tricky because I don't have any parts of the whole. I have 0 out of the total number 8. So for C, I'm not going to color anything in. Just going to say 0/8. And that's my drawing for this one. So I'm going to flip over another one. Move those over. You might need them again, but we'll try to do it without using any of them. Let me show you what happens if my numerator is greater than my denominator. So if I have a 6 up here and a 3 on the bottom, I can't color in 6 pieces if I only have 3 to start with. So I only have 3, so I can't color in 6. So then you need to mix these up and flip over a different one, okay? So that you don't have a bigger number on top. You need a smaller number on top than on the bottom. So then my next one is 2. Is the numerator, so 2 parts of 6. So I need to find one of these that's split into 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this one's 6. So I need to color in 2 out of the 6 pieces. So 1 piece, 2 piece, and then I'm going to write the fraction over in the fraction box. So the numerator is 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 over 6. So you're going to keep doing this until you have one fraction for each of the letters. And then turn this in for me. And you are finished with math for the day. So I will see you in tomorrow's math video. Have a good day.